Okay, so what we have here is a Gameboy Color that I've imported from Japan a long time ago. I'll put up the pricing, little screenshot of what I paid for it and when I got it, because I've had it for quite a while. I've just not got around to it. And as you can see in this bit of footage here, we have a really bad, come on, focus, screen burn there on the LCD screen, which we are going to need to replace. As far as I'm aware, this does turn on. I don't know why I say that if I'm not confident. So let's get some batteries and, well, maybe not. The battery terminal there has kind of collapsed. It should still make contact, and I'm planning on fixing it, if not replacing it. So let's go ahead and, oh, that doesn't feel good. Let me see if I can get it in a better position. That's a bit better. Okay, obviously we probably aren't going to see much on the screen, so let me grab a copy of Pokemon Yellow from the previous video I did. Oh, we get absolutely no power. Oh, no, just needed a couple of switching on and off. Right. So it reads the cartridge, it turns on. We do have sound, but hopefully you could hear it then. It was kind of crackling in and out when I was changing the volume, which I've never really come across before. So maybe it's just this volume wheel is a little bit dirty and isn't making proper contact on each of the, or just as it's twisting, because I think it's a potentiometer. Feel free to correct me in the comments for this. But enough yapping. I think what we need to do, obviously, first and foremost, is get that polarizer fixed. I did have a video a while ago where I fixed a polarizer on somebody else's attempted repair, but they'd already removed the original polarizer, which, to be fair, is a load of hard work. So this time around, I have to do that. I've got a pack of the polarizer filters. I'll try and put a link to where I got them from in the description, but I think I got these either from eBay or AliExpress, which the posting never stays up. The link to the page, the product never stays up. So sometimes an eBay seller goes out of business or decides to remove a product for sale. So this was a while ago when I did that first one, so maybe it's still not available. I'm not sure, but anyway, let's get this open. So what do we have here? I've got a tri-wing screwdriver. Flip it over, and let's remove the screws. Okay, so let's take the back shell off. All looks pretty good. I was just checking the inside, making sure there's some weird residue. You can actually see it quite well there on that card reader shield, but probably just give that a wipe down with a microfiber towel. But onto the console or the motherboard itself, again, on initial inspection, I don't see a lot glaringly wrong with this. I can't tell if some of these screws have been taken out before. I don't think they have. Sorry, I know it's on camera. That middle one, it just looks a bit, this one here, it looks a bit rounded, or like there's been an attempt before now, but, power switch. So, yeah, I don't think I need to clean the power switch much, because it came on the second attempt, so it might just have been a little bit of dirt that has sat over time, having not been turned on for probably a couple, if not more than 3 or 4 years. But let's get this board out, and obviously therefore then get the screen out. Okay, let's release the ribbon cable for the screen itself, because obviously that's our priority, but also we have to get the board out. Okay, so checking on this side of the board, there is a bit of, in fact, I don't know what to describe that as. Let's get a bit closer up. So above here, above the A button, there's like dirt, but I'm not entirely sure how that makes its way inside. Does it rub off? Actually, that's where two vias are, which is for, oh, okay. Not quite, sorry, not quite the capacitor here, but there's just a couple of vias that look a little bit corroded somehow. I'll give that a clean up with some IPA at some point. You can see this might just need twisting into place. I'll have to inspect this, but it's basically, it's just hanging on. So it's obviously come loose. So I'll have to try and figure that out at some point. I think it just needs twisting back into place somehow. It doesn't look like, actually, this has been opened before. Well, I'm convinced this has been opened now, because if we look at the battery terminal that's got a problem, there's a lot of flux or something left over there, and on the headphone jack up here, there's a bit of flux left over, likely from somebody else's job. And that would kind of make sense, because this one is a little bit dodgy, as though it was an aftermarket one. I think it has been opened before, although there's a bit of flux left here on these. If we focus, there we go. Bit of flux left there, which I do know, I have seen that before on other Game Boys. Anyway, let's turn our attention to the actual screen itself. So I may as well just remove all the buttons, because they're just going to fall out as I'm moving this about. So then take out the IR blast shield as well. Okay, just got to get the screen out. So as I said before in a couple of videos, just twist the shell in kind of opposite directions, and eventually you'll hear the tape release, or the double-sided tape release. And then I'm just going to get my thumb under there to pry it up. And there we go. Removed. The lens does have a few marks on it, but to be honest, I think I'm just going to leave it as is. I want this video focus to be on replacing and repairing this polarizing lens, which is all burnt. And actually, that's it's kind of a satisfying texture. I know obviously it's burnt and it's destroyed and we need to repair it, but oh, actually, there's like all residue coming off it as well, so I probably wouldn't recommend running your finger over that several times. Right, in order to get that polarizing filter off, we need to use a, whatever you want to call it, an X-Acto knife, a razor blade, just some kind of sharp knife where we can slip it in behind the polarizing filter and break the glue. Obviously, be very, very careful with this. I know it's kind of obvious, but I don't want people cutting their fingers, and I don't want myself to cut my fingers either. So I think what I'm going to do is go around the edge and go away from me, because that's how you should always cut. I'm just going to double check. I know I'm looking at it from this angle for my eyes, but I'm just looking to see what layers we have. I think the topmost layer, before it then goes into, it's going to be impossible to get it on video, but the topmost layer before it touches like the metal part here is the polarizing filter. So you can pretty much just be level with that and go in. So I'm not going to speak too much on this. I'm just going to focus on getting it done. And then after we've removed it, we'll need to clean up any residue left over. Okay, so it didn't all come off in one piece. There's a little bit left over there, which I think was caused because of, you know, having the knife at a slight angle caused it to cut through the polarizer and leave some behind. But anyway, that wasn't as bad as I thought. There's some questionable noises happening throughout most of the process of that. And obviously we have a lot of the residue left over where it's tried to split from the actual filter itself and the underlying LCD screen or whatever the next component is, and that needs to be cleaned up using some IPA. Now, annoyingly, I am at the end of my IPA bottle, so I do have enough left, I think, for this, but obviously this is going to take time and patience because the glue itself has, over time, become quite hard and will be difficult to remove. It'll probably take quite a bit of IPA and elbow grease to remove, so let's just make a start on it, really. So I think initially a bit of the IPA will help to just break down the glue itself, and then eventually it should lift up onto the cotton bud and come away. So I've finally got to the stage where all of the polarizing filter and all of the glue, the adhesive, has been removed. I did take this layer off and then came across a second layer of what I thought was just the base layer LCD display, but it turns out that it was another layer of either adhesive or I don't know what it was, but in the end, and I'll show some pictures because I thought I'd actually broken, I thought I'd destroyed this screen, but actually it turns out it was just another layer that did need removing. And just to quickly demonstrate that we are basically to a point where we can lay on the new polarizing filter, let's go ahead and connect it back up to the board and power it on, and you'll see, well, two things. One, no signal, or it'll appear like there's no signal, but then we'll lay over the polarizing filter so you can then see the image. So got one of these little AA battery holders that I can just put in two AA batteries, two crocodile clips, and then there's a switch on the back so I can just turn it on. I haven't got to put all this back together into the case, but let's go ahead and connect this up. Okay, so switch the power on, and then I'll just turn it on properly. I can see the red lights on, I just heard it ping, so it's definitely on. Obviously you can't see anything on the screen, but the second I overlay this polarizing filter, you can see there the Gameboy logo comes up nice and clear. So all we've got to do is make sure, I mean, I've not wasted another one of these, I've got plenty of them available, and then here's a fresh one with the lens still on it. So I'll cut that one down to size, but I just needed to use one to test to see if it was working or not. So one side of this will be sticky, which is obviously for the adhesive part, and the other side won't. So what I would do is just peel one side off, and then lay it over. I think that's the sticky side, so let's flip over, try the other side. Yeah, so this is the top part. I can just about see the logo, actually. Yeah, that's the correct way. And then let's put it on the bin. And now what we need to do is, the second we reveal the sticky side, it's going to start to try and attract bits of dust, and that'll all stick to it. So we have to just get this down as quick as possible. So completely take that off, stick it down one side. And then the bubbles should work out quite easily, but as long as you use something flat like a credit card or something like that and just work it along, that should be okay. And then any bubbles along the edge will just work out. Just like that. Cool. So we can see the screen is polarizing correctly. All we need to do now is just put it back together. Right, so I've replaced the negative, or the negative terminal on the board. It doesn't look like it's a straight up Gameboy Color replacement part, but I think I had a couple for some pockets, Gameboy pockets. So hopefully, if we could focus, there we go. So hopefully that works fine. It doesn't look too bad. Could do a bit of bending and correcting into place, but let's get the screen seated and back in place. Yeah, looking good. And then we can go ahead and put the board back in, but let's get the buttons in first. I don't really think this needs too much of a clean, to be honest. It looks a pretty decent shell in terms of dirt. It could even be a aftermarket shell for all I know. I probably need to look at it a bit closer to see. And like that. Let's try and get that in. There we go. Seated well. Why is this being a bit of a pain? I think the wiring for the speaker's a bit twisted just from when I've been moving it about, so it didn't get caught in the hot air gun and the soldering iron. Okay, that looks good. I think that's seated well. Yeah, let's get the screws back in for the board. We've got a Phillips. Okay, fine, all good. Let's just slot it back together for now and then stick 2 batteries in. That's fine, that's good. Obviously I need the power switch to put back in, which I've completely forgot once again. So let's just flick it on. Yep, power's on, sound, screen, all good. Turn that off. And now we can do the finishing touches of the IR shield, whatever it is, infrared. Sure it's infrared. Which way are we? I think we're this way. Is it like that? It doesn't want to go in that way, so I got that wrong. Maybe I have. There we go, that's the better way. And then our power switch, where did that get to? Where is the power? There it is. So much junk on the desk, it's hard to see sometimes. Slot him in. Back cover back on, fits nicely. Let's go ahead and put the screws back in. Where's my tri-wing? There it is. Okay, that's it all put back together. Let's give the screen a quick once over here. All looking good. There's no dust under there because that's the biggest pain in the backside, forgetting or not cleaning the dust out from underneath the lens and on top of the screen. But let's go ahead and put in a copy of Pokemon Yellow. Let's see if it reads it. Yep, all good. So, took longer than I thought it was going to do, but that's replacing the polarizing filter on a burnt Game Boy Color. It can be applied to many other Game Boys as well, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Pocket, DMG and so on. But yeah, thanks for watching.